strategic global government that's trying to control and manipulate everything and everyone and control information. And I do recommend, yesterday I saw the Jason Bourne, the new Jason Bourne movie, talks about agents disappearing. Dead agents are everywhere still alive killing people. I mean, everyone should go see that film to understand how the deep
dead agents are still alive killing people. It sounds a little familiar, doesn't it?
Doesn't it sound like New York? Now, we're not talking about Henry Sharp, but this guy, Barry Lee Bush. That story has been sort of blurred out of the press, right?
Yeah, hold on. Yoshi, hold on one second. Dana, I want to make sure you're there and welcome you back. How are you doing?
Good. Listen to you guys right now.
Good. I want to do a little bit with Yoshi on this Barry Lee Bush thing. Did you see that story, by the way, the attempted assassination on Trump a week ago tomorrow?
No, I haven't.
All right. Well, listen, because this is a big deal. And we are going to hopefully blow this thing wide open. We'll see. Anyway, Yoshi, tell us a little bit more about this. A lot of people don't know. It was clearly a very sophisticated operation.
Very clear. I don't want people to see we're talking about issues other than nuclear. That this very much has to do this deep state. This, in Nina's case, it was a near assassination, but it was a character assassination that's being mounted by these very same, intelligence community that is trying to take total control of the world. Up there in Canada, Vancouver area, very important for uranium sales, for their whole project to put nuclear and strategic countries, bring them into this global alliance under the global government.
Right.
So, it's very important we understand that these are arms of the same octopus, and this octopus just tried to kill Donald Trump by infiltrating an FBI agent who's been dead for 9 years. The head of the FBI read his eulogy. So this was approved at the highest level, of the FBI.
And let me say one thing. Let me say one thing. James Comey is well aware of everything Yoshi is saying. He knows how many agents have been sheep-dipped and no longer exist, who are available for wet ops, assassinations. And apparently this Barry Lee Bush, only through the grace of the Almighty, was he caught by one observant, apparently, Secret Service agent, and stopped. Go ahead.
Yeah, one secret agent who wasn't in the know and caught this guy trying to sneak past the security cordon. He was inside the security area, which takes a bit of skill, right? You got to have some clandestine.
He knew what he was doing.
Skill to pass there, and he's trying to go up the service elevator to get up to the Trump, election campaign headquarters where he would head out. And he was armed with a Glock. This is a plastic gun, a gun that can get through security. Okay, it's made out of polymers. The casing is made out of polymers. With the silencer, it's totally illegal. It's totally illegal. It's hard to buy them, actually. And was going to take out Trump. And then that same night, a guard, a former New York police officer, a black guy named Anthony Sharp, supposedly comes out of his job at Henry Winston Diamond, which is exactly across the street. You can't jaywalk across Fifth Avenue, folks. Not with the Secret Service out there in front of Trump building. He went out there 10 at night. The sidewalk was blocked by the Secret Service. They have their tape up and their little barricades up. He's supposedly drunk 10 at night. Walks on the Trump side. Okay, this is on the east side of Fifth Avenue. Walks up there, starts bumping into the Secret Service guys and sort of trying to push through into Trump Tower. Obviously, this was a staged event. Okay, and the key word here, former New York police officer at a time when the entire police department of New York City, especially Manhattan and Queens area, and Bedford-Stuyvesant in that area, is under investigation, for basically closed the Holland Tunnel for a Russian diamond dealer. This guy's from Uzbekistan, Jewish guy. They closed.
Too much.
To let this guy, And the sponsors of this thing are all Lubavitcher Jews in the diamond industry, okay? The Lubavitcher Jews, they're the big ones behind the Netanyahu government. They hold a big fundraiser for de Blasio, the mayor of New York, the Democratic mayor of New York. They're giving him untold bags full of money, all right? And they were caught. And their way out of getting the police chief and the assistant police, high-level police officers out, they did not want them to testify to either grand jury or, to the district attorney. So they flew up to Vegas in a private jet with none other than that notorious celebrity Gabby Greco, dressed in a stewardess uniform, which gave all the police officers oral sex during the flight, high flyer thing, okay?
Oh, man.
I mean, this all paid for by the Jewish diamond mafia, the Lubavitcher Jews connected to Antwerp, okay, to the Antwerp diamond trade, okay? So no wonder these guys, like, what does Henry Winston sell? Diamonds, right? Now, it's no longer owned by a Jewish guy, okay? It's owned, Winston long ago, just by the owner of Swatch. He's a Lebanese guy. But the guards haven't changed. They hire their own guards. They don't hire out. Right. Now, what's wrong with this story? From my understanding, having worked in New York, in the early 80s, very late 70s, after I left the steel mill, I went to New York to work. And, and I had to do some work, let's say, town's crawling with mafia, all these parks trying to steal whatever they can, garments, whatever. They'll swipe anything. So you got guards everywhere. Now, jewelry guards don't change shifts at 12. Otherwise, every burglar in town would be Henry Winston, all right? Smash and grab, right? At 12 when the guards are there. No, they work before opening to lift up the, while the vaults are being opened and the goods are being put out. Everything out there at night is fake, right? So while the goods are being put out. And then they work all day. They get off. Latest they'll go home is maybe 6:30. Let's say 7. Henry Winston closes at 6 p.m., okay? So the daytime guards are all out of there by 6:37, and the new shift comes in, the night shift comes in. What's this guy doing, supposedly leaving Henry Winston at 10 at night? Come on, drunk. The other thing there, again, I rarely visit New York. It's so darn expensive, but there are no drinking establishments around there in Fifth Avenue that aren't astronomical. That's a really nice place to get a $25, $30 martini, right?
So this black ex-cop is not about to be out drinking out by himself and then drunkenly trying to stumble into the security area in front of Trump Tower. Ridiculous.
Yeah, you got this is between Rockefeller Center and Central Park. Posh as it gets anywhere in the world, most expensive real estate on the planet. Okay, guards, you can't drink a can of beer out of a paper bag there. And what would he be doing for the 3 hours between 7 and 10? Okay, so obviously he was dropped off. I would bet the house on it. I don't have a house anymore. It's totally radio. I'll bet my radioactive house in Japan on that a Jewish guy, Lubavitcher Jew, dropped him off somewhere down the street.
Yeah,
walked up the street to cause this commotion as a diversion, okay? And this was a story that Snopes.com, that urban folklore debunking site, said, this buried guy was never there inside. It was actually this guy Shark, Tony Shark. Well, the problem is Tony Shark never got in the building. He was on the sidewalk. Yeah.
They couldn't get their story right. The other thing about Snopes is that they tried to lay this off and forget about Barry Lee Bush, the dead FBI agent with the Glock and the silencer who was in the building and apprehended there. Yeah. This guy, Tony Shark.
That story,
yeah. Well, what they did, Snopes had a denial and a debunk online so fast, it was too fast.
Yeah. Too fast. And they're in, come on. They're in the L.A. area, right? And this thing is happening in downtown New York. How do you get the information that fast?
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Now, come on. Give me a break. I hadn't heard that expression for a while. But back in the 80s, we'd say, give me a break. Yeah. What do you know about the Big Apple, right? So anyway, this is like a massive cover-up. Each state out in force. Now that you got this clandestine ops guy, one of the you look at that's why people really have to see this film, this Matt Dillon film. Okay, that if you look at that film, you see exactly what kind of work this guy was. How they use all kinds of tracking devices to go out and assassinate people. It's a great film. I think it's gotten bad reviews, obviously, because the government doesn't want you to see this stuff. But I think
that's exactly now that you just said something really important. When they ding a movie, there's something in it, especially a political thriller like that they don't want the people to be exposed to. They don't want them to see. And you're right. That's a very important point.
Yeah. Jason Bourne brings that up to now, to recent events, to what things that happened in Athens, to the Syrian crisis and all that. It brings it right up to today. And that exactly when that film comes out, this guy pops out of the woodwork. This guy McMullen, Mormon, one of Mitt Romney's people, with Paul Ryan, this whole thing. The Republican establishment, which we're finding out is Jewish, Arab, and Mormon. Okay, I call them the foreign element. They don't think like other Americans. Other Americans believe in hospitality. The charity wagon comes out when a newcomer comes. You go to basketball games. You do all the things. Bake sales for the Girl Scouts, whatever the heck. America, right? Regardless of where you're from, that's part of that culture. You're supposed to be part of.
That's right.
These are the people who are not part of that culture. They remain foreigners in their gated enclaves, right? With their security guards, their private schools, their synagogues, their temples. Okay. These people who are decidedly un-American are doing this. Okay.
Remember one.
Is over there on,
Yoshi, you remember? And I asked all of you to go back if you were around then. Howard Hughes. Remember Howard Hughes, a brilliant aeronautical designer, daredevil, motion picture studio. All right, who took over Howard Hughes and the Howard Hughes Medical Foundation? The Mormons, the Mormon Mafia. Howard invited them in because he said they were trustworthy. Well, what happened is they drugged him up and kept him basically a house prisoner and took over his whole enterprise.
Absolutely.
So that's when I knew that the Mormons were involved with this.
Yeah, they kept him naked. They kept him naked so he couldn't walk outside his room. I mean, this is amazing, these guys, And his mistake is he confused vigilance with trustworthiness. The Mormons go back to that secret society. Sherlock Holmes, you got to read Sherlock Holmes about that secret society that used to go out and kill American settlers to take the women and children.
Horrible butchery.
They're political.
Yeah.
Yeah. They it was a personal circle that guy in Salt Lake, the founder. That there was a secret group of terrorists who went out and they would blame Indians. They would plant arrows. I hope Native Americans are listening to this. They would plant, arrows and spears there. They'd kill Indians, take their weapons, and they would go out and kill white settlers and take the women and children. That is the foundation of the polygamous Mormon church. We tried to build an empire called Deseret. And the federal government, Federal Union in general, had to go out there and stop them, because they were threatening a lot of violence, the whole rebellion against the United States of America. So this is the ilk, They basically consider themselves the lost tribe of Israel, and that's why they're so tight with the Israelis. And how the Arabs join into this, we don't know, unless some of the Arabs are actually got some ancestry with the tribe.
But keep in mind also what Yoshi mentioned about Snopes. Now, Dana, you know about Snopes, and everybody listening probably has used Snopes. And unfortunately, the reflex is when someone's confronted with something that confuses them or they don't see it jibing with something else, what do, Dana?
They switch off.
Yeah, they switch off, but first they go to Snopes. Let's find out. Find out. Yeah, let's see. Snopes will tell us. Snopes will tell us the truth. We can go to them.
Or Huffington Post.
Or the HuffPo. Yeah, but Snopes in particular is the be-all and end-all for a lot of people. This is a great tragedy. This is a great tragedy because you got an operation here that quite clearly is Intel created and operated. It has an agenda. And it can debunk anything at any time. It's another smart tool Nothing is left to chance on the internet. You got to remember that. Nothing. This is a big deal, Snopes, and I would urge all of you not to go to Snopes to check anything out. Do your own research. Forget that. It's a mind-controlled propaganda mill, and that's what they do. They put the story debunking the assassination attempt on Trump out too soon. It was up right away, and that told you, if you're smart, a lot immediately.
How interesting, though, that the FBI agent Bush has been dead for 10 years.
Yeah.
And you remember the last attempt from a British kid? July,
yes, 19-year-old British kid tried to grab a cop's gun, said, I'm going to kill Trump. That's mind control right there.
Did you see Hillary, the videos of Hillary freaking her whole body out of control?
Yeah, I've got all that.
Looked like a robot, eh?
Yeah, we've been talking
a humanoid
about it.
Robot.
She's on big-time medications. She's got Parkinson's and maybe other very bad issues. She's prone.
If you go look at the humanoid robots, like the human skin and faces and everything, and you look at her, you can't tell the difference. She's doing that. You can't, right? It's just the weirdest thing. I'm not trying to start a conspiracy theory.
Yeah. Well, be careful of Snopes, and I've known about this for years. It's very well protected, and they're very clever, and they're very quick.
I'll go look at their Fukushima and tear them apart.
Well, there you probably will find
themselves wide open. So.
Oh, absolutely. That's an interesting thing. I haven't done that.
I like stuff like that.
Yeah. Yoshi, what about Snopes in terms of people outside the U.S.? Do they all look for Snopes guidance?
I'm looking into Snopes. They're mainly U.S. focused. They're targeted. They're linked to the Israelis. I'll get into that later on. They're not going to get away with their stuff. They've gotten away with it for a while, but the cracks are showing, and we'll be coming after them. Look for an article down the road, folks. But what I do want to say, the debunking has been a major intelligence tactic since the first days of the internet. This is when Snopes was coming out. And then you remember there was a lot of ufologists. Remember those, the UFO stories in the early days of the internet, alien stuff and all that. But also, there were some serious guys out there who were taking Jeeps out to Area 51, right, and getting stopped and taking photos and taking photos. Remember? And the debunking was to say, if you believe in UFOs, you've been abducted and put in spaceships and saw blue men and all this stuff. And they would sort of, scuttlebutt all these really serious researchers on the ground at Area 51 who did spot the outlines of various really weird aircraft that weren't exactly jet engine fighters out there. So this debunking was done by the U.S. Air Force, by NASA, right, the NSA, and then they finally figured out to start up groups like Snopes on the Internet. They had to fight a cyber warfare, cyber security, and that's what Snopes is. And we'll get into that a lot more later. But the whole point of debunking, this is exactly debunking the truth. We're not talking about bunk, okay? We're talking about the truth. Okay, debunking the truth. This is exactly the campaign against Dana. Why they won't take him to court. They just want to say, he's a suspect in court. Oh, he's a felon. He's a bad guy. He's a fiddler. He's a fabricator and all that. And they get all their little agents out there, former guys with the Royal Canadian Mounted Police spy service. They get these guys, these veterans out there to bump into Dana, to challenge it. Oh, Dana threatened me and things like that, right? This is how it's done. These are organized campaigns.
Well,
and we got to understand what's the frame-up.
The idea of a frame-up is such an all-encompassing concept. When you see an attack on somebody like that which was made against yours truly for a couple of years, lies, deceit, lies of omission, all-out bald-face fabricated crap that's put all over the internet on discussion boards, forums, and all that under alias names, and I went through the whole thing. They are online, as Yoshi just said, to debunk and to defame and to otherwise damage people's reputations and somehow disqualify them in the minds of people who can't do the research or don't understand how the game is played, which is a lot of folks, unfortunately. But the game is dirty, it's deadly, and it's real. And debunking and defaming And otherwise, smearing people is one of the most prominent tickets of the NSA, CIA, any other agency involved working the internet to discredit people and debunk various operations, like the Barry Lee Bush operation. That, to me, was clearly planned, very carefully scripted, and went awry at the last moment when they got that Barry Lee Bush trying to go up a service elevator. Very lucky. And that's not the only plan, believe me, that's being worked on. Trump is not out of danger. He didn't want to talk about that one. And the reason I know that that was a real one in terms of how the Trump camp looks at it is that there were several emails put up about that, Yoshi, on the official Trump email website forum. And usually the moderators will take something down immediately if it's without foundation.
Yeah.
Those emails that I had one of them put up there, they're still up there. So there you go. Trump knows.
He has to be very, very careful. Yeah, he has to be very careful, on his guard, bolster his security. Unfortunately, I think he's a little bit weak on going after these guys and exposing them. As journalists, we try to do this because, you know, we're from basically, I was a kid when Kennedy was killed, all right? I remember the morning. I was in Japan. My mother, knocks on my door. I'm sleeping and says, the president has just been assassinated. And I would, what, right? This is so deeply impressed in our minds, the assassination of Kennedy, all the exposés of what happened, the Jack Ruby Rubenstein character, all of this stuff, the ties to Meyer Lansky. And here we are again.
I mean, we went through, as you say, we went through John Kennedy, Bobby Kennedy, Martin Luther King. John Kennedy Jr. was also murdered. How my God.
Yeah. My gosh. Yeah, it's incredible. What they got against Kennedy, and they're building up this grudge match with Trump. They're working themselves in where they don't let the slip show. They don't care if their Glock are falling out of their back, their back holsters or something. They're so intent. These people are just they're insane murderers, and we got to understand. And their candidate is Hillary Clinton, okay, who led the Arab Spring and then handed over Syria, Libya, Egypt, Tunisia to the jihadists. I mean, and then they're making excuses for this Pakistani guy. And thanks to Wayne Madsen, he just exposed the Pakistani guy who was just talking, Khizr Khan, on a TV station that's run by Jamaat Islami. This is the granddaddy of the Brotherhood.
Yeah. He went on Pakistan TV and put down Trump, and the TV station is called Dunya TV. It's owned by jihadists. It's a jihadist TV station. Come on, the guy is anything but what he wanted us to think, and I think a lot of you have figured that out. Madsen's story was excellent.
These are the sort of guys that McMillan was, this candidate out of Utah. They cooperate with these sort of guys to set up assassinations, okay? I mean, they need to work on all sides, right? Kill the other side. Keep up the chaos, keep up the wars, keep up the arms sales.
That's
This is a situation, we've been up against. And we're unfortunately, you and I and Dana have been hitting the very hardest core, the source of depleted uranium, right? What's inside aircraft carriers and submarines with the missiles, okay? That are fired at Baghdad and places, okay? Fired at Afghanistan. We're up against the nuclear core. That's why